The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Before we begin, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Amazon Music for partnering with me on this episode of Chasing Creativity, but more on this later. Let's get right into today's episode. Hello and welcome everyone. This is Kiran Manral on Chasing Creativity. And today we have with us the very gorgeous Saumya Tandon, actress, television presenter, and so much more, and a poet I learned today. Welcome to Chasing Creativity, Saumya.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for having me.
You grew up in Bhopal. You were born in Bhopal, you said. You grew up in Ujjain. Then you went on to do your management from Delhi. How did this girl from Bhopal, Ujjain, Delhi land up in Bombay and become an actress and a presenter?
God. It is such a crazy journey, because nowhere a girl who comes from a very academic family of professors and painters and artists and scientists who grew up in a very, very small town with absolutely no background or any connection with the world of entertainment whatsoever could land up here, and somebody who was so academically oriented. And I was known as a poet to begin with in my hometown. Yeah, it is absolutely a crazy journey. And I would say that I was born in a time where there was no social media. So all that I knew was all that was around me. I knew that I liked to perform. I knew that I was a performer. I loved performing arts. But I had no exposure to understand what that feeling was. So I just followed the regular route of what I was exposed to at that point in time. And then I just was committed to finishing my education, because coming from a very academic family, that was like a must.
It was a non-negotiable.
It's totally non-negotiable, and we knew no better. You know what I mean? Coming from that background, no exposure. No, I mean, the world has so much changed now. Everything is at the click of the button. We had no exposure. I remember, I'd like to narrate a very small incident that when I was in my KG1 in Bhopal, my mother had made me in fancy dress competition Mother Mary, and that was my first ever stage appearance. And I didn't go up the stage. It was an annual function where all the parents were there, and my mother had really worked hard. It's less of children, parents का ज़्यादा competition होता है. So my mother was very excited because she arranged the dress and she wore her best sari, and everybody knew that it's the first time I'm going to see my daughter up on the stage. And I didn't go up on the stage, and she was miserable. She walked up from the audience and she came and she pushed me up on the stage, and I went up on the stage crying, saying, "I'm not Mother Mary, I'm Saumya Tandon."
Oh, baby.
I came out and my mother gave me one tight slap.
Yeah, those were the days when we grew up with one tight slap.
And that one tight slap changed my life, because my parents took it upon themselves to make me get over stage fright. And from there on, from class 1 till the time I was in college, there has not been a single year where I was not participating in the elocution or debate or poetry recitation or hosting the 26th January and 15 August of the school or college functions. And there came a performer.
Yeah, that was your training ground. That was where you cut your teeth on actually hosting and performing on stage.
Yes.
But did you train formally, Saumya, in acting or presenting?
I did children's theatre a bit. I wouldn't say for a very long time because, like I said, there was no exposure. I grew up in Ujjain. We have a very beautiful Kalidas Academy there. So I did one children's play in a workshop, in a play group, where I played Shakuntala in Abhigyan Shakuntalam.
Oh, lovely.
And I did that play in Hindi and Sanskrit. That's how I have very good Hindi and very good pronunciation and what do you say, mera uchcharan bahut acha hai because I grew up in a city, Ujjain. And I remember that in those days, Habib Tanveer had felicitated me, who was a theatre veteran. And then I knew that time growing up that this is the place where I feel most happy, that stage.
So you did your management.
And then I went to Delhi and I did my management, and I realized that corporate world was not my cup of tea. And I did my first portfolio and I started modeling on the side. My father had already retired and I didn't want to take money from him for my education. So I used to actually read entertainment news on Z News on the weekends to fund my education.
Oh, lovely.
And model on the side.
Okay.
And that's when I had participated in Femina Cover Girl 2006, where I became first runners-up.
Okay.
And then my pictures reached Sony TV, and the producer called me to Bombay to audition for a television show. And I just thought to myself, I don't watch TV. I don't connect with it. How the hell am I going to be, doing it? I should be probably doing something different. And my mom said that, listen, you are not coming from a family background. We don't have house in Mumbai. Who's going to fund your staying and moving and meeting people there? So you better get something what you're getting if you don't want to get a job in the corporate world, and shift to Bombay, take up work and figure out what you want to do. So I got my tickets by the producer. I flew down for the audition and I was selected. And then I just shifted to Bombay with work.
With work. That's wonderful. So you didn't have that struggle, that going from place to place.
I feel an artist is always a struggler. If you are an artist, you are a struggler.
That's so well said. That's so well said.
I think I'm a perennial struggler because you always want to do better and you want to make meaning out of what you're doing. Always a struggler.
Always a struggle. So you were in Bombay, you had caught your first assignment, you were working on it. Could you tell us a bit about it? Your experience, A, the city, and B, the work that you began doing, because it was something completely different, I think, from what you'd done before.
Yeah, television industry in those days in 2007 was very unstructured, I must say. There were no working hours, I was very, very naive from a very small town, extremely polite and, modest. And I realized I got a very big shock that this is not how the real world is. I was protected. I didn't know much about it. And I learned all the main lessons of my life and about this industry and the city in my first year itself. It was very, very tough. There were times I was shooting for 3 days at a stretch with 101 fever and I had to do a rain sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It was that cruel. And that kind of made me prepare for what was lying ahead. A very cruel, tough, unforgiving and bitchy world of entertainment industry.
All of us see the glamorous side of it.
Yeah.
From the outside, we see the costumes, the adulation that you get from your fans, the popularity. And we don't really know the grind of the television. The television industry is relentless. It's like a juggernaut.
Why just television? Even film industry.
Even the film industry.
Absolutely. There is, the only difference, I always keep telling this to people. I don't know why they always, say, they're not much different. It's just that there are very different playgrounds.
Okay.
In one playground, you have to churn out more number of programming hours. And in another place, you have more money, more time for pre-production and lesser programming hours to be produced. But eventually, that entire system is very similar. Mm-hmm. I don't call entertainment industry glamorous at all. I tell everybody we are all workers. Our life is that of a worker. I, remember shooting for 12 hours, sleeping for 6 hours, waking up in the morning at 6 o'clock for my workout, never socializing, never eating wrong, never partying, and absolutely zero time for anything to, that people would imagine. At least that was my story. Because if you got to prove, it's a sportsman life, because you have to be very, you have to be at it. You are on a treadmill. There is so much competition. You have to be presentable. You need to know your game. You need to perform. I don't have any, privileged surname. I can't take it easy.
There's nothing to fall back on.
No, not at all.
Except your discipline.
I won't get another chance if I falter.
And you knew that right from the start. And
absolutely.
Tell us about Roop. How did that happen?
It was such a crazy story, because I was doing my show, which was my show on Sony, and UTV reached out to me. In fact, I do remember Rucha from UTV talent team reached out to me, and she said that a filmmaker, Imtiaz Ali, wants to meet you, and he's made Socha Na Tha. And then I quickly went back home and I saw Socha Na Tha, and I just loved that film. I said, wow, what a lovely film. It's so different. And I was very excited to meet him. But unfortunately, I was just not getting any day and time where I could just come out of my show and go and meet him. So I told him that, is it possible that I finish my shift and then I come to Juhu Marriott and meet him in the coffee shop? So I ran after finishing my shoot and I came to meet Imtiaz, and Imtiaz looked at me and I said, oh my God, what have you done to your face? Can you please go in the bathroom and wash it? I said, I'm so sorry. It's not me. It's just they have done it to me. I don't like makeup, but they just do what they do. They feel I'm just too pale, so they just make me warm and brown and just to put too much of colors on me. I said, yeah, please, next time when you come, don't look like this, because I've seen your pictures which came from the modeling day world, and you can do much better. I said, okay. And I met him and I just loved meeting him. He was so much different from what I had known and seen of the entertainment industry. Very well behaved, very well educated, very nice to talk to. There was something Zen-like about him. And he was actually planning Rockstar with UTV with John Ibrahim. And he was looking for a Kashmiri girl for the role which eventually Nargis Fakhri did. So I was supposed to, I don't know, be there on that project. But that project fizzled out. And then I got a call from Imtiaz again when he was in Ashtavinayak and had planned Jab We Met with Kareena and Shahid. And he said that come to the office. And that day I just went absolutely without makeup. And he said, oh my God, thank God you look like this. And he said, you just look like Kareena's sister. I want you to do this part, Roop. And I said, oh my God, you were considering me for a lead and now it's just a heroine's sister's role. He said, why don't you just do a reading with me? Mm-hmm. So he was Aditya and I was Geet, and we were reading the script and I just fell in love with the script. I said, oh my God, this is so endearing and charming. Like I've not seen any, film with this kind of beautiful, charming, colloquial dialogues. Everything has been so prim and proper, and like it looks very choreographed when you see a romantic film. This was fresh. This was like a breath of fresh air. And I just looked at him. I said, I'd love to work with you. I love this script, but this is such a tiny role. And he said, think about it. Tell me, because we are going on the floors very soon. And I just said, yeah, we learn something. Let's just say yes.
Let's just do it.
And I just thought to myself, kaun dekhega? Aise nikal jayega ye. And it became a super hit.
It became a super hit. It did. Did you ever feel that I shouldn't have taken a sister's role later? Did that ever come to you?
Well, yes. That time it did, because that time the film industry was extremely closed. There was a huge glass ceiling for anyone like me. Things started opening up a little bit later when, with maybe, films like Gangs of Wasipur or Bareilly Ki Barfi and the, Vicky Donor, where the smaller films and newer people were allowed to come into the film industry. Others, we were like untouchables. Oh my God, who are you? From Ujjain, Bhopal, please stand in some... So those were not the times when the industry was really open to the fresher or newer talent for big roles. So I did think to myself that maybe the sister role has put me into that category, because everybody was calling me for very similar tiny roles. And I thought, I'm not going to enjoy it, because every film is not going to be Jab We Met and everybody can't be Imtiaz.
That's so true.
Yeah. So then I shifted to hosting on television, which became very, very successful.
Very popular.
And of course, I was a single girl with my mom. I'd already lost my father long back. So I had to make sense of financial sense also to be in the city.
It's an expensive city to be in.
Absolutely.
And we're going to take a short break now. We'll be right back with Saumya Tandon in a little bit. And we're back with Saumya Tandon. Saumya, I was wondering, what makes you decide to take a role? What is it about the character? Is it the entire project? Is it the director? What is it, that one thing that really makes you say that this I have to do?
I have to like the script, most important. I need to have some kind of a positive vibe from the people that I'm working with. And for a very long time, it was also money, because like I told you, I was single with my mom. I had to think where the rent was going to come from next month, because I didn't know a single soul in Bombay when I shifted. But now, after being in this industry for so many years and being financially absolutely secure now my decisions are purely and mainly about, does this character bring out something which I have not done before? Is it going to further or show me in a different light as an actress? And is it going to further my career?
Lovely. And now that you have this kind of the security net, so to speak, of being able to pick and choose your roles, are there some ideal roles that you would love to do that you've not done so far?
There's so many. There's so many. I just feel like I've not even touched the tip of the iceberg. There's so many, like I've done comedy. I think I'm pretty decent at that. I've explored comedy a lot. Thankfully, even in my show, I did not do very caricaturish and loud comedy. It was very spontaneous and slice of life, which is the pattern which I followed for my character. I'd love to do something intense, maybe something with gray shades, maybe something which is tough. It'll be interesting to see me playing a tough role, because I have a very soft face, and doing a tougher role would be interesting. So many, and hazaro khwahishein aisi.
You spoke about comedy, and Bhabiji Ghar Pe Hai was huge. You became huge with it, although you have been in the industry as a presenter before that. How did you slip into that character?
It is so funny that Bhabiji is not just the only show which was super hit in my career. I have to be really lucky, and I feel like I'm blessed that whatever projects I have done have been super hit.
Okay.
That little film, that little part in that film was a super hit. I mean, Jab We Met is an iconic film.
Absolutely.
I consider it one of the best rom-coms of our times. I did the first non-fiction show on TV, which was a dance reality show, Dance India Dance, which became super hit. I do remember the times when we started. Now, of course, you have so many, dime a dozen dance reality shows, but that was the first one. So that was a time when it became so big. It became so big that all the other non-fiction shows were less than half of TRP. So that was a super hit, and I was very popular as a host. I did Bonvita Quiz Contest, which is in Limca Book of Records of being the best show for kids ever. So I have seen successes in different formats. Bhabiji is probably the most recent and, of course, iconic. I love Bhabiji. When ZTV was coming up with its own platform and TV, they called me because I had a very good relationship with them. Like I said, Dance India Dance, which was on ZTV. I was a very popular host there. So they called me for Ant TV's new show. And I kept on telling them that, don't put me on a daily show, because I can't handle a daily show. Just give me a seasonal format. And they kept on telling me, we don't have a seasonal format for you, but we feel that you fit the part, so you must do this. I said, I'm not ready for a daily soap, and especially comedy on TV is very over the top. I can't deal with it. So he said, no, come, it's different. So it kept on coming to me for 7 months. I was evading it and running away from it. And then eventually, I don't know why I said yes, because probably there was no non-fiction show that I had signed. I said, chalo, time hai, nothing much is coming. So I went there, and when I went to Naigaon, the set was very far away, and I went to Naigaon and I went to the set. I said, oh my God, I want to run away from it. What have I done? I've signed the contract. And I called up my boyfriend that time, and I just said, I want to run away. He said, just run away. I said, how can I run away? I've just signed a contract. I called up the channel guy. I said, listen, I want to run away. He said, we'll sue you. I said, okay. I said, okay, because the show has to go on air 3 days later. I said, okay, I'm crying and doing my makeup. I said, what have I done to myself? This is the end of my career. But I was very pleasantly surprised to see a great script, great actors, some from NSD, some from the theatre background, very good actors. Even the smaller supporting actors were doing such a good job. And I said, see how much we judge people for the platforms or the places they come from. They were terrifically talented, probably more talented than many who we see, and we celebrate as maybe bigger people. And I just thought that it is so much to learn. And never done this. I love my director, love my actors. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's do it to learn something new. And that's how that whole journey began. I didn't know, I didn't think I'd last there more than a year, but I lasted there for 5 years. That's because I think I really enjoyed the process, and also because I wanted to leave, but they didn't want me to go.
Are you a director's actor, or are you a method actor? Are you an instinctive actor? What kind of an actor are you?
I'm spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
I don't like to premeditate a lot. I just feel it should just be very natural. I personally feel comedy is the most difficult genre to do. It's very easy when you're killing someone or breaking down and doing some drama is happening and half the thing is already taken care of because so much script is supporting you. बंदूकें चल रही है, बम फट रहा है, crime हो रहा है, कुछ हो रहा है. So much as an actor get. But when you're doing a comedy, you just have the camera, you have the script, and you have to make them laugh. Go ahead, do it as a performer. So it's so tough, it's scary. But I haven't done the other part, so I'll be excited to do that.
Lovely.
But I think I'd like to keep it as real and spontaneous as possible.
In comedy, there's also the element of timing.
Yeah.
Did you have to work on it? Did you have to learn that? Did you observe other comic actors working on their timing? I mean, how did you pick that up? Because that's really tough.
It is. And I think I was very lucky to be with a great set of people. My writer was doing great job. My director understood my language, that I had a very, very situational and very natural way of putting out things. And my co-actors who were just getting my language, and I was also learning. So it was like a learning on the job. I told my director, and the director told me that, you do not have a very loud character, so you might not catch the attention in the beginning. But I told him that it doesn't really matter because I want to be as real as I can, and they should just feel like I am like that. So I think I learned from all of them. I learned from everybody, even the smallest supporting actor who came there, I learned from him.
What do you enjoy more, presenting or acting?
It's just like asking whether you like cake or an ice cream. I like both. I enjoy both. It just have to be a good one.
How has OTT impacted careers for actors?
It's actually very good because there was initially, when I started, there was a huge gap between television and films. So you either were on television or you were in films, and there was a huge gap. And people from television were not getting a great entry into films. So there was nothing in between. Television was primarily for the masses and more catering to the women, and films were massy and, it was a very different game. So OTT kind of filled in that gap. It gave work to so many different creative people, writers, directors, technicians, actors. So that is a great development. Also, there is a lot more experimentation. I still feel Indian OTT is still trying to figure out. I thought the initial days were better. We were way more braver. We were way more open to newer people, like newer producers, newer directors, and newer actors. Now I believe again is going back to being a little bit more following the trend.
Yeah. The formula, what has worked before. What are you working now on, Saumya? What's coming up from you?
Like I said, that I'd done so much, hosted 14 shows, did one regional film. I actually done a Punjabi film also as a heroine, and did Bhabiji for 5 years, did a show, did a film, did one international film. And some decisions were also for money, some decisions were mixed. And I just thought that now I have to focus on quality. And now I don't have to rush into anything. So I am in that stage of my life where I'm hosting a lot, creating a property on my own platform, which is called Stories Making India with Saumya,
Wonderful.
where I plan to travel all across India to meet ordinary people making extraordinary stories. So it's like a very interesting travelogue where I'm just going to meet beautiful humans, people, and with their human stories. I started with Kashmir, my favorite place, and I plan to go to Punjab next. I am also trying to create something of my own, and also waiting for a nice, great role to come by, which I can, feel that, this is what I should do next.
I'm sure it will come soon. There's something that not many people know. Saumya is also a published poet. She has an anthology to her credit. So tell us something about Saumya the poet, and why is Saumya the poet under wraps?
I used to write from the age of 6, and I used to write. In fact, my those days I used to हमारे उज्जैन में कवि सम्मेलन हुआ करता था, which is something completely unheard of by the Mumbaites. So we used to go to these kavi sammelan. Very beautiful, renowned poets are from our city. Shiv Mangal Singh Suman, Naresh Mehta, Manu Bhandari. वो हमारे शहर में रहा करते थे, तो हम वहाँ जाकर कवि सम्मेलन में I used to recite my poems in Hindi, and I used to travel with my poems to radio stations. So I've been in Allahabad, Lucknow, Indore, Bhopal, and in my town I was known to be a child prodigy writing poems. So when I was reading my poems on the one of the radio stations, Ramakrishna Publications publishers reached out to us, and they said that we want to publish her poems as an anthology. So there was one poem, everything that I had written from the age of 6 to 16, even if there were like 3 lines, 4 lines. So there was one side was my poem, one side was my mother's painting. So that book was published, which was also nominated for Modi Young Writers National Award.
Wonderful.
And I was the youngest nominee.
Wonderful.
And then somehow my education and MBA and trying to make sense out of entertainment world in Bombay and to make money kind of overtook. I didn't really continue with the same vigor. But whenever I'm pensive, lost, that's my best friend.
Are you still writing something now?
Not as often, but like I said, when I'm lost and sad, and that's my pen is my best friend.
Lovely. I'll hope to see another book of poems from you soon. From the grown-up Saumya.
Yeah.
There's different life lessons now that would come out in those books, in those poems. Finally, Saumya, because this is chasing creativity, and because a lot of aspiring people who would be looking at you as an actress, as a performer, as a host, what would be the tips you'd give them for somebody looking to get into show business?
Listen to everybody and don't believe them. I have been given so much gyan by all industry stalwarts. From advertising guru, a very big advertising man, telling me to make it in films, you either have to do ads or hang out in parties and date a film star. Don't believe it. I was told by a very big manager from a management agency, and she told me, please don't sound so intelligent. Just sit in front of the producer, look vulnerable, look very malleable, flutter your eyes and smile a lot. Don't believe it. I was told that if you've started with television and if you've come from Ujjain with no heavy surname after your name, you can't make it. Don't listen to them. Let's change the game.
Wonderful, wonderful advice. Change the game. Thank you so much, Saumya, for this wonderful conversation. And here's hoping that meaty role comes your way soon. We'll be waiting to watch you on screen with that one.
Thank you so much.
And I'm waiting for that book of poems.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It was really a delight to speak with you, Kiran, and glad to know you. And we have more to talk once the camera is off.
Definitely. And with that, it is a wrap on Chasing Creativity. This is Kiran Manral. I was just chatting with the wonderful Saumya Tandon. Do catch us on Apple Podcasts, BingePod, Spotify, wherever you get your audio content. See you next week. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Chasing Creativity. I wanted to say thank you to Amazon Music once again for partnering with me on this episode of this podcast.